Welcome to the season finale episode of Pro Saints Talk, where we discuss very quickly last week's win in Nashville, the upcoming playoff push, and all the ramifications each game has, and Antonio Brown getting a workout in New Orleans, and something I didn't mention in the meat of the podcast, but I thought of afterwards. Hey, instead of bringing another wide receiver, would this be a great opportunity to promote off-season wonder, Mr. Emmanuel Butler, to the team? He mixes much better than potential distraction of Antonio Brown. We'll get into that in next week's episode. We'll see how it all plays out. Everybody, enjoy. Merry Christmas.
Look at uptown people like, yeah, yeah, yeah. People up in Britain like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mid-city folks like, yeah, yeah, yeah. People downtown, man, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where you at, Hoodats? We couldn't leave you for too long. We hope you had a great and Merry Christmas, but we got to get you all set before the new year, before all the football festivities really get underway. And I brought the main man, George, back for y'all. Where you at, George? How you living?
Merry Christmas, Rons. I'm sorry I've been away. Rons, but I'm here for you in this holiday season. Look, Rons, we had Rons travel all the way to Nashville. We had Cameron. We had Wayne. Buy cowboy hats. Go to the game. Represent the Ron Nation in Nashville. And we left victorious. And again, guys, I apologize. This season I got a little son. There's so much going on for Christmas. I couldn't break away and record a podcast, but I'm here for you the day after Boxing Day to record the best episode Ron and I can provide. We're here for you. We love you. Ron, what you got?
Well, George, we have to dial it back a couple days. Last weekend feels like forever ago because we already got done watching our hopeful wishes just squandered away by the Vikings on Monday night. But we have to acknowledge what happened Sunday in Nashville. I love that you shouted out all the Rons that made the pilgrimage up there. I think everybody had a blast despite the sloppy conditions. Weatherman Red tried to prepare y'all for them. Also, shout out Chatty Waddy on Instagram for making it up there and shouting out PST. But we have to acknowledge that it wasn't a great start for the Saints in this game. We got gut punched, sucker punched, whatever you want to say. We got punched in the mouth right at the beginning of this game, giving up some big plays to a guy that we highlighted for y'all on this podcast, A.J. Brown. Even without Derrick Henry, Tannehill has found a little something there in Tennessee, and that was a dangerous team, and we saw all the reasons why. But, George, a couple things brought us back into this game, namely, I want to highlight somebody that's been off the grid for months. Been all kinds of injury allegations, been all kinds of, is he just protecting himself for contractual reasons? Alvin Kamara, in my opinion, George, showed back up and is peaking at the right time. What are your thoughts on the Alvin Kamara situation right now?
Ron is peeking at my notes per usual because my first note under Titans was AK Alvin Kamara. Boy, it was great to see him doing the Alvin Kamara show again. He looked like his true self. Not that guy we've seen since the Jaguars game, but the true Alvin Kamara that we're going to need to lean on if we need to go on the road in bad conditions in the playoffs. We need that Alvin Kamara to be back fully healthy, and that goes for our whole offense. We are ascending. Ascending is the word you keep hearing in every Drew Brees interview. He likes our offense to be ascending, meaning getting better each game. And holy cow, the Colts game, we were perfect. This game, bad first half. Second half, back to beautiful offense. And now we're getting our roll on for the playoffs, and no one is as important to this offense. Give me Ramrod, give me Mike Thomas, give me, of course, Drew Brees, Teron Armstead. Right in that same breath is Alvin Kamara, and it's great to see him back in true form.
Well, George, you highlighted, yes, it was a terrible first half on almost all fronts. but Jared Cook busts loose right before the end of the half. But that's not the real story of that play. The story is the guy we're talking about right here, Alvin Kamara, with just a killer block downfield that just paved the way for Jared Cook to rumble into the end zone. And then we kick off the second half with a 40-yard Alvin Kamara run. I think, George, we've just been seeing a guy that hadn't been having the blocking for him. He's been getting these flat passes, he's been getting these screen passes, and been getting absolutely blown to smithereens out there. And it's just not fair to him. I'm sure he's been feeling very frustrated. But on this particular play, oh boy, all he needed was know you clap, will clap out in front, just widening out the Red Sea for him to run through. And I think I saw on the next gen stats, he almost got up to 20 miles an hour. So for all you people that think, oh, Alvin Kamara's hurt, oh, he's holding back, I think we are getting ready to see a Reggie Bush-esque 2009 playoff surge. I think Kamara is going to empty the tank this postseason and be that just electric, elusive runner that we have been blessed to see over the last 3 seasons. So, George, I'm geared up. I'm all excited. But that was just an
I got
appetizer.
another name for you, Ron. But first, before we get into that, the listeners out there were not shocked about A.J. Brown's success because they were listening the off-season during our draft preview episodes where we were touting him as the messiah of the wide receivers. But that's neither here nor there. We're not trying to pat ourselves on the back too much. But let me give you another name, Ron. Because Titans, Alvin Kamara, offense, defense, the steal of the 2019 NFL draft, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. End of the game, fourth quarter, Titans might be going on a game-tying drive or a game-winning drive. Who lays down the hit stick? Who causes the fumble? None other than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who had his best game of his NFL career last Sunday. So when Von Bell is healthy, when Eli Apple is healthy, it's going to be very interesting to see how Dennis Allen and Sean Payton implement our defensive backfield with the additions of Snead or Shed, with the additions of Swearinger, and, of course, the Jackrabbit. We have so much talent in the defensive backfield. And other than Lattimore, no one shines and catches your eye quite like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And he's a fun guy, talks a lot of shit, plays with a lot of fluidity, a lot of vivaciousness. He's great out there for us, great out there for the city. I'm a big fan of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I think he's got a very bright future with us heading into these playoffs.
George, and I know the truthers are going to see the undertone and the, maybe the between the lines storyline on this one, that the real turning point in the game might have been when Marcus Williams was quote unquote injured in this one. And you had to put PJ Williams out at free safety, which that was a very interesting turn of events to see what the actual depth chart is once you start getting into fourth, fifth.
Ron, you might, when Marcus Williams, when everyone's healthy, you might see, because look at the emergence of P-Rob. P-Rob had a damn good game last game. You could put P-Rob in the nickel, so Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at strong safety, Von Bell to free safety. That makes Marcus Williams the odd man out, guy riding the pine. Is it deserved? A lot of people would say so, even myself. Hey, it's playoff time. You got to put your best foot forward. You can't think of the future of development of these young guys. We have to win a championship for Breeze. So if Marcus Williams is your Achilles heel, your liability, no way, Jose. No, thank you. Von Bell has played free safety earlier this year. Deuce Wyndham has great breakdowns on it. Deuce Wyndham is one of those Saints aficionados on Twitter, and he's really good at breaking down video content. He shows you Von Bell has played free safety. He can do it. And Chauncey can play strong safety. And then the question then becomes, who's your number 2 corner? Is it Jackrabbit or Eli Apple? And that'll be another storyline to follow. But we got bigger fish to fry than just our defensive backfield, Ron, because you and I can spend an hour just on that.
No, the depth is real, and I mean it's starting to turn into a soap opera drama with in terms of the pecking order and the depth chart, and it's a good problem to have going into the postseason, like you said. But hey, we don't just have to win a championship. for everybody else on this team. We gotta win a championship for Michael Thomas. You can't let this season, this record-setting season, go to waste. All right, this guy. Can we just take a moment to appreciate this guy? Is leaps and bounds ahead of any wide receiver we've seen in Saints history. Best guy to ever put on a Saints uniform, and we're in year 3 here? This is unbelievable, y'all. You got to appreciate what's going on. Breaks the record in 15 games. The 16th game is just lanyap to put it out of reach of anybody that might come along. Yeah, that's right, you Falcons fans. Julio, he might have come close, coming up short every time. Mike Thomas, the people's champ, George. The people's champ. And then the next damn day he's at the Children's Museum, and that's where I really want to highlight this, George, because we got to talk about the real storylines on this podcast. He's at the Children's Museum. Or the Children's Hospital. He's given the RC monster truck to this just boisterous, this joyous kid. It is a Christmas miracle for this kid. Michael Thomas is bringing him a Christmas gift, gives him a hug, says, "Hey, man, what's wrong with your arm?" Mike Thomas, just open and honest, says, "Yeah, well, the play that I was setting the record on just dove out, dinged it up a little bit." But that's not all. That was his left arm. You couldn't see, had a little brace under the jacket. The right hand, he had it ace wrapped. George, this guy cannot be hurt. Cannot. When you look at the passing distribution on this team, it's well documented that Mike Thomas, I think, is about 80 to 90% of our passing offense. So are you concerned about these injuries that are getting disclosed on the feel-good social media videos, or do you think it's just a precautionary matter?
Well, one thing, before I jump into that question, great question, I'd like to say Mike Thomas broke the record, and he did that with Drew Brees as his quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater as his quarterback, and a little bit of clickbait at his quarterback. Marvin Harrison did it only with Peyton Manning in prime Peyton Manning mode. That's a testament to how great Mike Thomas is. No matter who's throwing him the ball, he's getting open, he's catching it. Like Ron said, look at the numbers, the best Saint wide receiver to ever do it. Marcus Colston had a fantastic career and is the career leader in just about every statistical category in Saints wide receiver records. Those aren't going to last because of Mike Thomas. He is perfect at his job. And that route, there's the one where he didn't get in the end zone that set the record. There's a great video watching his route in slow motion. And I don't think 3 guys could have guarded him with the amount of jukes and shuffling he does to get open on every route. And he's fantastic to watch every Sunday. So Ron's question about his injury. Yes, it's significant. Who else is hurt? Warford's hurt. Pete's hurt. Bell's hurt. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's on the injury report. Drew Brees is on the injury report. Alvin Kamara's had this ankle injury. We got Hogan now on IR. It's just more reason why it is imperative. We need divine intervention here. We need to find a way to get the bye because these injuries are adding up. I didn't even say Eli Apple a second ago. That's another one. We have so many injuries, and we need to get the bye. How do we get the bye? I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you're already a Saints and you already know. But if there's a small chance you don't know, I'm going to make it very simple. Obviously, we need to win. We need to beat the Carolina Panthers, who are imploding. Their tight end, Greg Olsen, who's been the stalwart of that team for almost a decade now since he came from Chicago Bears, called out the team. Said this is pathetic. There's no one giving a damn about this game anymore, and they're just going through the motions. No one's in it to win it. They're imploding. He's calling everyone out. The only thing they're going for this weekend is for Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey to break records. Only thing they care about. They don't care about winning. They probably want to lose to get a better draft pick. So the Saints beating the Panthers, check. That's going to happen. Here's where it gets dicey. You have to have either the Detroit Lions upset Green Bay Detroit, who has nothing to play for, and their fan base wants them to lose to get a higher draft pick. The only thing to play for is their third-string quarterback. We get a free truck from a great Houdat Saint fan who's going to provide a free truck to their quarterback of his choosing if they can pull the upset. Third-string quarterback, why? Because Driscoll's out and their great quarterback Matt Stafford's out. So, guys, don't put too much eggs in that basket. We would love for that extended Christmas miracle to occur, but don't hold your breath. The one that we need will be Sunday night. Seattle, San Fran in Seattle. Seattle's down 2 running backs. Brought back Marshawn Lynch, blast from his past. I don't know how much he's got left in the tank, or it's more of a morale boost to bring him back. And they're down their left tackle. And to be down your left tackle against the 49ers is terrifying because their D-line is as good as anybody, if not the best. So we need one of those two, call it Hanukkah miracles, Kwanzaa miracles, Christmas miracles, New Year miracles. I don't know what the phrase is. We need one of those to occur. One of those teams to upset the other, and then the Saints to beat the Panthers, and then we're at least the 2 seed. So the Mike Thomases and the Von Bell, et cetera, have a chance to heal. And more importantly, we don't have a chance to get eliminated from the playoffs on the Super Bowl run. Ron, your 2 cents on the playoff push.
Yeah, my 2 cents, George, is the Saints only have to win if they want the 1 seed. I believe, and we can check this, but if the Saints lose and either one of those 2 things happen, I believe we jump up into that 2 seed. So that's why you got guys like Boogie. And you know, the only doubt that I have on that is if it's only for one of those situations, like if the Packers were to lose. And maybe we don't have it with Seattle, but I think we have it. And so that's why you got truthers like Boogie saying, rest the starters, might as well just get locked into the 3 seed. Oh, you know, we can't control these other 2 events. But I don't know, George. I'm optimistic about Seattle. I know they're depleted in the running game. I know they're making this desperation signing with Marshawn Lynch, but I think it's a splash signing. Dude rolls out the Escalade with the Skittles falling out the car. He looks like he's in way better shape than when the Saints signed Deuce in 2009. So I think this could be legitimate. And I just think they're going to be hungry. That fan base is going to be raucous, insane. They're going to be rooting for a home playoff game because that's what's on the line for Seattle. So I think they have a 60% chance to win that game in my book. I think that's better than a coin flip. The Packers, God bless this up-and-coming Ronnie Lamarck from New Orleans. I love the Twitter splash, but, I mean, good grief. For as bad as the Packers looked Monday night, Cousins just shit the bed, couldn't get it done for us.
Dude, how disheartening was that?
All
of us, all the Saints fans were wearing purple for a night, and it was just the biggest letdown of the year.
You get 3 turnovers in the first half that put you in prime field position, and you got 10 points to show for it. You end up going into the half only up 1. You knew the game was over right then and there. So they didn't even need to play the second half. That offense was pathetic without Dalvin Cook. So, hey, bring that team to the Dome.
I was about to make the same point. If we're the 3 seed and they're the 6 seed, we're going to return the favor for laying an egg versus Green Bay when we're counting on them to win. That'd be a great 6 versus 3 matchup. But, guys, let's just do a quick little crystal ball, if you will. If we are indeed the 3 seed and everything doesn't occur, then we're playing the 6 seed Minnesota Vikings in the wild card round. Divisional round, we would go at Green Bay. Most likely, a lot of things could happen. You know, global warming, maybe that at frozen tundra isn't as bad as it used to be. Maybe it won't be negative 10 degrees, but a nice brisk 35 degrees. We'll have to get a weatherman on that. And then potentially back home versus Seattle or on the road to San Francisco. Very tough road to the Super Bowl if we're the 3 seed. 2 seed, much nicer. 2 seed, much nicer. We would get the bye, obviously. Then we would host the winner of the 4-5 matchup, which would probably be Seattle. So host Seattle at home, then potentially go on the road, if I get this right, to San Francisco, who could be the one.
You got that right, George. You got that right. So you got to think that Peyton sees, hey, the high likelihood that we are the 3 seed and we're playing 3 playoff games to try to get to the Super Bowl. So what do we always remind y'all on this podcast of? We remind y'all to pay attention to what the Saints do, not what they say. What are they doing today, George? Why are we on this podcast today? What's the splash news?
I'm going to read this verbatim and then we'll discuss. Free agent wide receiver Antonio Brown will visit the Saints on Friday. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports that the Saints are doing their due diligence on Brown, who has been out of the league since his release from New England earlier this year. Talent has never been the issue for AB, though teams have been reluctant to take on his considerable off-field baggage. Brown's penchant for lashing out on Twitter has not helped his cause, though apparently the troubled wideout has piqued New Orleans' interest. The Saints have taken on high-maintenance players before, including Janoris Jenkins, who the Giants let go after showing little remorse for using hurtful language on social media. It's unclear if Brown would be subject to the commissioner's exempt list. The league is still investigating his alleged sexual misconduct, but if given the green light, he and Mike Thomas would form a tantalizing 1-2 punch in the Big Easy. End quote. Okay, so guys, the one thing they said, take on his considerable off-field baggage. To just loop everything this guy's done in the past calendar year and just say considerable off-field baggage does not do it justice. It's as though I've never seen the show Ballers, but imagine the most dramatic, over-the-top wide receiver in a fictional movie could create, and that wouldn't even begin to describe the shenanigans and knuckleheadedness that Antonio Brown has created in his entire world, in the NFL world. For the time this offseason, every day and every week, there was a new twist and turn of something completely foolish that he was doing, gaining attention. But as equally distracting and immature as he is talented. This is a Julio Jones talent. So are we bringing him in because Mike Thomas's hand hurts? Some say that's very plausible. Some say that's not why we're doing it. We're doing it because we're thin at wide receiver and Drew Brees needs more targets. Do we feel as though we're selling our souls to the devil in order to win? Potentially. Is this a guy who's going to be a distraction and not one of the guys that joins the team and the work ethic that Drew Brees and the Sean Paytons and I don't want to say Ben Watson because he's not there anymore, Zach Striefs. I can't think of who are good Teron Armsteads and Ryan Ramrods. We have such a great Cam Jordan, of course, DeMario Davis. We have such a great locker room. Do we want to potentially lose that in order to get more talented? That's a concern when you bring in AB. But it is very, very interesting. But the biggest thing to take away from that little snippet was, hey, is he even eligible? Are we just saying all this for naught? Is this all hot air? Because if we sign him, Roger Goodell might just come down and squish the bug. Say, hey, he can't play. He's in trouble for that, his most recent sexual misconduct allegation. He can't play. No way. Jose. Ron, what do you say?
George, I think they fully understand that, and I think that they would be hoping to maybe steal one playoff game out of him in the appeal process, maybe just filibustering enough to get him eligible for at least one playoff game, because I think they have that narrow of margin at wide receiver. And I understand they're doing their due diligence, but I don't see them do their due diligence on any other wide receiver with this kind of upside. Is the dude a psychopath? Yes, you 100% documented that. And do I think that this is actually going to turn into anything tangible on field? Absolutely not. But I do think it's complete BS for the beat writers and everybody else to be fooling you into thinking that, oh, yeah, this is just the Saints investigating a player just like any other guy. No freaking way. They're seeing this as tangible impact for the playoffs, win a game. And that may be all that they need out of him to get Mike Thomas healthy again. But George, is this even plausible? I mean, Breeze is one of these guys that has to have timing with a guy. You have to have that repetition, that rhythm with Breeze. Lance Moore had it. Colston has it. Thomas 100% has it. I don't think AB could come in and in 3 practices have it. I mean, is this even realistic?
Ron, I think a raw AB is better than an in-sync Traquan Smith, an in-sync. Who are our wide receivers nowadays? Because Hogan's gone, Ted Ginn. We're down to nobody. So at some point, you probably just need to have another wide receiver in-house because we are so depleted on wide receivers. We're using Taysom Hill really as our number 3 wide receiver. So maybe they're seeing what they're got in him. Maybe they say, hey, man, can we get a game or 2 out of you without you being a huge distraction? We shall see. I think you're spot on with the appeals process, steal a game out of him. But we're so short on wide receivers, we might just need to sign one anyway. So you might as well see what the most talented guy has to offer. But Ron, we had a hard 25-minute cap on this episode, a hard 25-minute cap. We wanted a nice little juicy nugget 1-2 punch. It's over now. Game 26 minutes. Ron's, to recap, we love Chauncey. Happy to see the offense and Alvin Kamara shining again. That's great. What do we need this weekend? We need the Saints to win. Ron says otherwise, but let's just go with that for now. Saints to win. Saints to win. Saints to win. We need Seattle, Sunday Night Football to beat the Niners, or Detroit to beat Green Bay. I hate the fact that the Niners play Sunday Night Football because after the Saints game, it's going to be agonizing to wait for that Niners-Seahawks game. I'll be biting my teeth, doing push-ups and kettlebells, and going on runs to relieve all my nervous energy. My wife is going to hate how frantic I'll be. She won't quite understand what's going on in my mind. Hopefully this episode will paint a picture for her how crazy Sunday night's going to be. But boy, we'll be there together in spirit, Rons. Hey, we appreciate you. We're sorry that we left you a gap. It's busy this time of year. We have families. You get it. You're smart. You get it. But Ron, we love you. Rons, we love you. Take us out, my main man, Ron.
Hey, guys, shout out Mike Thomas one more time, NFL record setter. Happy holidays, y'all. Happy New Year. And we can't close this out without a Go Tigers. We out here, y'all.
I saw Santa Claus swinging in the trim-made jacket. I got a big wish for Santa, and it's not a new Cadillac. It's better than Grandma's cooking. It's better than hot beignets. It's better than a lot of money. Much bigger than a Mardi Gras day. I don't need champagne or caviar. Don't need no ice cold fruit. I don't need no big old barbecue pit. Wait a minute, that's not true. I just had a rap with Santa.